Good morning, this is Jack from the AUDUSD.net, and this is the pre-market recording for Monday, the 20th of August. Our disclaimer, we do this for educational purposes only. We're here to share our technical analysis with you. We hope you can take some of what we're doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. We're not here to issue trading signals. Right, ES. ES has broken up from the bull flag and is likely to make at least a retest of this high, and it's pretty close to came pretty close to doing that overnight. It's likely to manage that today. I do have a potential rising wedge resistance trend line here, which might make going up difficult, or it might stop us at the retest, although we are close enough to the all-time high, which is only another 10 handles up really from the retest to this high, that we should be doing it. But I'm wondering about this wedge resistance. This is quite a nice looking falling wedge, and if these trend lines remain good, then this is probably going to need to break down and retrace a bit before we go up further. Okay, NQ. NQ, we've got a nice declining resistance trend line from the high. That hasn't broken up yet. And obviously, to go higher, it needs to break up. So I'm wondering about a triangle forming here. It may be that if we're going to turn back down, we're going to go exploring below the weekly pivot today on NQ, that we are going to see that wedge break down on ES in the short term. If so, I'd just be looking for a retracement and then a move back up. Okay, CL. CL is rallying. It's finding resistance at the weekly pivot so far. I haven't got a very strong case for it actually getting higher than this in the short term. I think we may well go and retest this low. I've got this trend line here. It's not a particularly solid trend line. The main support trend line is this one here. I've got that in the 62s, and there's no reason we wouldn't be going there directly after this rally ends. This looks a bit like topping action. I would love to see a retest of this high and then a fail, or a bit higher at the monthly pivot, but it's possible we're not going to see that. NG. NG I've got in a flag channel here. This should break up and deliver a retest of the high. Now flags don't always break up, but 70% of the time they do. So I'm watching for that. At the moment it's testing the weekly pivot and it's trying to break over it. If it does, then the next target is the flag resistance, currently in about the 2.97 area, and then we should see a retest this high, which is at 2.973. It's obviously not a huge move after the flag breaks up. I'm expecting this to be the second high of a double top as and when we reach it. We could break down directly, in which case, oh, sorry, I've got to correct all my trend lines on Monday mornings, and I haven't corrected this one. I've got main rising support in about the 2.85 area. Okay, GC. GC is testing the weekly pivot from above. No current divergence. I am wondering about a reversal here. I've got some evidence for that on the other metals. Not on silver yet, although we do have a divergence that doesn't make it as a sell signal, but it's probably a 15-minute sell signal. Watching this, we're under the weekly pivot there, and I've got a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing on HG, and this looks like a flag channel. We're above the weekly pivot. It may be that's going to hold as support, but if it breaks and we lose this trend line here, then we should be seeing a retest of this low, which is what I would expect to see. Now, while that's happening, well, actually, let's do ZB first. ZB, I've got a nice rising support trend line here. It's 3 touches. There's possible rising wedge forming, but at the moment, it's showing no signs of breaking down. We do have a potential double top here. We're liking a retracement into the low 143s, but obviously it's going to need to break down below support to do that. If we get back as far as the weekly pivot, we'll have broken this rising support. In the interim, I've got I've still got an IHS target in the 145.10 area, and I've got wedge resistance in about the 145.09 area, if this is a rising wedge, which it might well be. Watching that with interest. Obviously there's a potential larger channel here in the event that we break up directly with a target in the 146s. Okay, DX. Now DX, we've got this falling channel here, not quite reached trend line support, which is in the 95.9 area. I'm thinking this may well be a bull flag forming. We are wondering about a possible retest of this high. We expect that to be the second high of a double top and fail. And I have to say, looking across the currencies, it's looking pretty promising for a DX turn here, which is what we're expecting to see on the main scenario. But we may need to see that retest first. That would be a fit with a retest of the lows on metals, if we see it. EURUSD. Falling megaphone here, possible IHS forming. There is scope for this to head up directly and for DX to head down directly. I think on DX, I think Stan's line in the sand is 95.9, and that's where I've got the support trend line, so that's a good fit. If we go below that, then he's not expecting it to come back. Until then, we may well see that high retest. USDJPY still trying to break up from this falling wedge. I'm starting to wonder about a triangle forming here, possibly. No current divergence. USDCAD, failing at resistance there, nice looking little double top here. If this breaks down, or I've got support in the 1.305 area, then we're looking at a move down to basically this trendline support in the 1.29 area. This resistance needs to hold. I've got this trendline resistance in about the 1.316 area now. Australian dollar. Australian dollar has broken up from an IHS and is back testing at the moment. This looks like a flag forming. I'm expecting this to head up. KC, we're very, very close to a 60-minute buy signal fixing here. In fact, while I've been prepping these charts, it's possible it has fixed. If it has fixed, then I'll be looking for a bottoming pattern, and we've got trendline resistance in the 1.1125 area. SB, we've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing here. I really like a low in this area. It could go a little lower. But I'm not seeing any particular reason for it to, but it does actually need to turn. That bit's important, so waiting for that to happen. CC still in the same bear flag channel, drifting sideways within it at the moment. I'm expecting this to break down into at least a retest of the low and then likely lower. ZW, I've got this as a possible flag, and I'm wondering about a direct break up here. Stan's looking for a lower high, not a retest this high, so not the flag target, and then another leg down. Maybe we'll see that. I will be wondering as soon as we break up over the monthly pivot and convert it, whether or not we may go straight to the retest of the high. That's at 612. Okay, corn. Corn broke up from a possible bull flag, but it wasn't particularly well formed. It was okay, maybe. So it might be heading back to the retest of the high, which would be the obvious flag target. Strong support below the weekly pivot and the monthly pivot. As long as those are holding, the direction is up. Once they fail, we may well be heading down to a low retest, which I think is what Stan's expecting. Soy, nice support trend line here. I've currently got that between weekly pivot and monthly pivot. Strong double support there again. We're getting pretty close to a retest of this high. This wasn't a flag because it was too large relative to the preceding trend. So if we reach this high and go over it, there'd be no particular reason to think we'd stop there, and it's way too large to be the second high of a double top. Okay, great. In that case, I'm going to stop the recording there.